Hello, welcome back. In 2020, an unsettling incident occurred at my granddaughter's school that brought forth a chilling question. Did Joni Lamb play a role in the untimely death of Marcus Lamb? This question resonates in the whispers of those close to the Lamb family. What if his passing, the sudden loss of the charismatic leader of Daystar Television Network, was more than just a tragic accident? Could it have ignited a series of events that makes us question the very foundations of trust, love, and integrity that once seemed unshakable? We start in Texas, where Marcus Lamb, a controversial Christian television CEO, lost his life following a tough battle with COVID-19. This conservative televangelist made headlines throughout the past year as his network, Daystar, dedicated significant airtime to anti-lockdown and anti-vaccination activists. Marcus, known for his steadfast faith and leadership, died suddenly in November 2021, with his death attributed to complications from COVID-19. However, as the Christian community grieved, whispers began to circulate, suggesting the timing of his death was more complicated than it appeared. Could his passing have been a catalyst for darker, unforeseen events? Or were these rumors simply the product of grieving minds attempting to make sense of a devastating loss? I remember my last night with Marcus in the hospital. I was looking after him, and around 3 a.m., he just looked at me in that dimly lit room and said, "Look at what you've done to this family." I texted my mom, telling her I couldn't take it anymore. I prayed to God, saying, "You know my pain, and I believe you'll protect me and help me through this." The very next day, he passed away. Even from the outset, it was clear that Marcus's death would shake his family, his ministry, and the many followers of his work. As the months unfolded, Joni, Marcus's wife for over 30 years, made controversial decisions that only fueled further speculation. And then there was Doug Weiss, the counselor who seemed to gain an alarming amount of power in Joni's life following Marcus's death. Was their relationship as innocent as it appeared, or were there deeper hidden motivations at play? I remember visiting Daystar one afternoon to pick up something from the cafe, taking my child with me despite knowing she might be frightened about being there. While I was getting the food, Doug and his spouse walked in, and my child was so filled with fear that she went limp and fell under the table. I quickly picked her up and ran to the car, recounting the tense experience to family members I trusted. I realized we wouldn't be visiting anymore. As time progressed, things only became murkier. What began as a simple story of grief and recovery started to morph into something more complicated. Divorce papers, accusations, and deep rifts within the family raised more questions. Why did Doug file for divorce from his wife of over 30 years just 2 months after Marcus's death? And why was Joni quick to defend her bond with Doug, even when many questioned the timing and sincerity of their relationship? The rapid unfolding of events felt deeply unsettling. Was this genuinely a tale of love, or was there a more sinister narrative brewing beneath the surface? Eventually, I saw some documents, text messages, emails, and other paperwork that made me reconsider everything I knew. I planned to speak with Jonathan and Susie about their side of the story. I felt there were still some things that needed clarification. As I prepared to share this information, I knew I had to hear both sides and then finalize my thoughts on the matter. In the weeks following Marcus Lamb's death, Joni and Doug Weiss found their actions under intense scrutiny. On the surface, Joni's choices appeared to reflect a widow seeking solace and healing, but her rapidly evolving relationship with Doug raised red flags. Doug, a counselor experienced in marriage recovery and addiction, seemed to form a bond with Joni alarmingly fast. Only 2 months after Marcus passed, Doug filed for divorce, and whispers began about his connection to Joni. The timeline unfolded in a way that felt too convenient. How could a relationship built on shared trauma evolve so quickly? Why was Joni, having just lost her husband, so eager to defend her relationship with Doug when their bond was still fresh and controversial? Jonathan expressed his disappointment with the unfolding events, especially after Joni's marriage to Doug, whom she described as a blessing to her and her family. As a mother and grandmother, Joni's sadness for the situation grew deeper. She lamented the public backlash from her son Jonathan and daughter-in-law
was Susie, who questioned her actions. The Christian community, once supportive of Joni and Marcus, now found their admiration eroded by disbelief. How could someone who had devoted herself to her family and